A toy for Christmas. It's Christmas. Can I just speak to you from my heart? And tell you how I felt as a child. On the day that all the world proclaimed to be the most wonderful time of the year. Christmas Day. When you're poor, Christmas can be a very different thing from the movies you see on TV. Or the stories children read in a book. The decorations, the lights, the tinsel and trees, or even the songs we so merrily sing. On Christmas Day. When you're poor, your mind wanders between reality and fantasy. You hope and you wish, and you fervently pray, God, please. Let Santa be real, just this once, for me, on Christmas Day. When you're poor, Christmas is a time of uncertainty. Would you even get a tree or have something to eat? All these were the questions dancing in my little head. For a day, that became something to dread. Because I knew there would not be any toys under the tree for me on Christmas Day. When you're poor, there's so much more to the pain in your heart. When you realize that you will not be a part of the joy that all children are supposed to feel on Christmas Day. The night before Christmas, I would lay by the tree. That might or might not be. Staring up at the lights. They were, in my mind, a most magnificent sight. So beautiful to me as a child. My sad little mind. Just running wild. Thinking of the joy I would feel. If only Santa were real. And I could just wake up and find a tree laden with toys. So many, it would just blow my mind. I would be the happiest little girl in the world. If only, by some miracle, Santa were real. And actually delivered toys for me on Christmas Day. But something deep inside me knew that's not the way it would be. In the morning, there would be nothing to see under that sparsely decorated tree for me on Christmas Day. Eventually, I would go to bed. But, despite knowing all I have said, I would rise early, just in case, by some miracle or act of God, there just might be some toys under the tree for me on Christmas Day. Words cannot describe the disappointment I felt when I'd rush into the room to find that everything was just as bare as before, and there were no toys under the tree for me on Christmas Day. I would have to face all my friends who were so excited to play with all the toys they had received on Christmas Day. When they would inquire, what did I receive? I'd lie and tell them I got something to wear. But my friends didn't really care. They were too caught up in the euphoria a child feels playing with all the wonderful toys they had received on Christmas Day. No one knows the humiliation and shame a child can feel. It remains to this day. The pain is real, almost as though it just happened yesterday. But I'm not telling you all this to make you sad. Although it is very sad. Please don't think I'm mad or permanently scarred in any way. Because I did not receive toys on Christmas Day. My parents were wonderful. The best in the world. They loved me and raised me. And did all that they should to give me as much as they could. It wasn't their fault that we were poor. And it didn't make them bad parents because they couldn't afford to buy me toys on Christmas Day. And, as we usually do, I've made this all about self. I can only imagine now how my parents felt when they had to endure the disappointment on their children's faces, knowing they had no way to buy toys for their beloved children on Christmas Day. I don't want to give you the wrong impression. I'm not saying to you that I never received any toys for Christmas at any time through the years. But there were many years when I did not. And, as a child, the lines began to blur, causing the bad to outweigh the good. The details about just how it occurred became unclear in my little immature mind on Christmas Day. Today I live in what some would say is a very nice house. And, by the grace of God, I have been able to give my children everything they need. Christmas is now a wonderful time of the year. A time of joy, no more fears. I barely remember the sad little tears I cried for so many years. On Christmas Day, today I am blessed. And I can truly say, I'm happy. I don't need a thing. But I am compelled to tell you my story. Just to give God the glory. And to remind you that, somewhere in this world, there is a child just like me, that has no hopes of finding anything under the tree on Christmas Day. So, I am asking you, please, remember those sad little hearts. And do everything you can to fill them with joy by reaching out in love and giving a toy to some forgotten little girl or boy on this most wonderful and joyous time of the year, Christmas Day. I would be remiss if I forget to tell you this. One year, just such a thing happened to me. Because what I didn't know as I slept one Christmas night was that in the morning, all would be right. For God had a wonderful plan of His own. And, just like His word says, we are never alone. For how could I ever have known that God had prepared angels of His own in the form of the wonderful old couple who lived next door, who were watching for just the right place and time for an opportunity just like mine to do something so perfectly divine. It never even crossed my mind that there were people in this world who could be so kind. They were people of great wealth. Not in the sense that they had loads of money in the bank. But, instead their treasure was being stored up in heaven by all the kind acts they had given. For they were driven to make a difference and leave a legacy in this world, in the life of some less fortunate little boy or girl on Christmas Day. So needless to say, because of the way that old couple gave, my brothers and sister and me had a most wonderful Christmas Day. There are no words that can explain the joy that I felt when I woke up to see that there were toys under the tree for me on Christmas Day. The smiles and giggles were a sight to behold. For as long as I live, this story will be told of that wonderful old couple who felt compelled to give and change the lives of the 4 little children who lived next door. God compelled them to go out of their way to make sure we had a most joyous and wonderful Christmas Day. I have told you my story because I want to give God the glory and ask you if you know any children like me who are very much in need of a toy for Christmas. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could find it in your heart to give a toy to some little girl or boy on the most magical and wonderful time of the year, Christmas Day? The end. Janet Jordan Collins.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow, the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.